Hello, hello, hello again to another video of Aga Reacts on Aga Calera channel. Hi. I've been recording for quite long now and I'm a bit stiff. So, 10 most annoying movie characters ever from what culture? And it got my attention because it have Bruce Willis and Chris Tucker from Fifth Element, and Fifth Element is one of my favorite all-time movies. So, let's just get in and let's just watch.
Now, it's often said that the worst thing a movie character can be is forgettable, and generally filmmakers want you to passionately love or hate their heroes and villains, ensuring that you'll want to revisit them again in the future. But then there are these characters that are just straight up annoying, and whether by design or by mistake. And that's what we're here to talk about today. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are the 10 most annoying movie characters ever. Number 10, Willie Scott, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Would any list like this be complete without Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom's love interest Willie Scott? You can at least see what Steven Spielberg and George Lucas were going for here, an odd couple pairing between the charming rogue Indy and the pampered fish-out-of-water Willie. But she couldn't be more the polar opposite of both Indy and his prior love interest Marion. But Willie's one-dimensional damsel-in-distress shtick gets supremely tiresome in record time. And Kate Capshaw's bleating performance does not help much. Willie rarely goes on for more than a few moments without screaming or shouting, "Indy!" And while we're supposed to slowly warm to her over the course of the adventure, that didn't quite wash for many fans. She's a thin sketch of a character who can't hold a candle to Marion and, worse still, is an actively grating presence for almost the entire adventure. Number 9, Ruby, the Fifth Element.
Ruby Roth!
Just before we begin this
there you
one,
go.
I just have to say this, The Fifth Element is
Ruby
one of my
Roth.
favorite films ever. I can watch it at any point of the day, anytime. I do not know
I agree
why.
with
It is
you.
just my go-to film, but still, I will admit that Ruby is pretty annoying, but he's meant to be. He's meant to be.
Yeah,
right?
he's meant to be.
Because
That's
for
true.
as charming as Lilu is in this sci-fi cult classic, Chris Tucker's flamboyant talk show host Ruby is basically the pure inverse. Sporting Tucker's signature high-pitched voice and a rat-a-tat motor mouth, there's no denying that Luc Besson wanted Ruby to be an incredibly extra annoying character. But he ultimately tips the balance possibly a bit too far, enough so that many wish that the character had less screen time. Now, Tucker certainly does a good job with what he was given, and Ruby's clothes and general getup are undeniably amusing, but his loud, overbearing presence definitely ensures that this is the worst possible movie that you could ever watch with a pounding hangover. Number 8, Amanda Kirby, Jurassic Park 3. Now, Jurassic Park 3 is hardly a watertight piece of cinema from a story or character perspective, but it's almost like the script went out of its way to make Amanda Kirby as migraine-inducingly obnoxious as possible. Now, Amanda heads to Ila Sauna with her ex-husband Paul and Alan Grant in search of her missing son Eric and boyfriend Ben. She consequently spends a large bulk of her screen time shouting "Eric" and "Ben" and screaming hysterically, especially once finding Ben's corpse and basically displaying not even the faintest shred of survival instinct. And if you're feeling brave, you can actually go over to YouTube and check out a supercut of all of her most annoying moments. But despite the series' generally ruthless approach to killing off undesirable characters, Amanda regrettably makes it to the end of the movie in one piece. Yet given that Jurassic Park 3 is basically the franchise entry that
seriously
nobody
can't
likes,
remember
we were thankfully never blessed
anything
with her
from the
presence
movie.
again in
I've
any
definitely
sequels.
seen
Number
it, but
7, Sheriff J.W. Pepper, James Bond. Now, Live and Let Die is generally a solid first outing for 007's Roger Moore, albeit one sullied by the brief but maddening presence of Sheriff J.W. Pepper, who isn't just a perfunctory obstacle for James Bond, but also happens to be a racist idiot for good measure. Pepper is basically a lazy southern stereotype who speaks every dim-witted thought in his head aloud for our benefit. And while it seemed at first like he was going to be a merciful one-off character, Pepper ultimately returned in the next movie, The Man with the Golden Gun, inexplicably holidaying in Thailand with his wife just as 007 passes through the area and makes his life hell once again. Pepper even gets included in the movie's most iconic stunt, the incredible vehicular corkscrew flip, and in turn actively makes it less enjoyable through his sheer repellent aura. Pepper certainly has his defenders amongst the Bond fandom, but casts a groan-inducing shadow every damn second that he appears on screen. Number 6, Fabienne, Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction may be crammed with fascinating and unforgettable characters.
I think I've seen that movie once and that was like
for the wrong reasons, and that's Butcher's
years
girlfriend
and decades ago.
Fabienne. Now, Fabienne's lyrical, soft-spoken voice and almost childlike means of interacting with Butch really do not endear her to anyone. She's passive to a fault, and while Butch doesn't speak to her with patience or understanding in the slightest, it's tough not to feel his anger when she forgets to pack his heirloom gold watch. To be completely fair to Fabienne, she's part of a story where almost every other major character is extremely vocal and strong-willed, so by comparison, she can't help but seem like a total wet blanket. She's basically an innocent party in a sea of criminals and degenerates, and Tarantino certainly wrote her to be irritating to a point, even if for some it's just simply too much. At least most of us can probably empathize with her love of blueberry pancakes though, so at least that's something. Number 5. Samuel the Babadook. The Babadook is one of the greatest horror films of the last decade. You see, the film centers around a widowed single mother, Amelia, who is struggling to raise her 6-year-old son, Samuel, whose behavior becomes increasingly erratic as he believes that the titular monster resides in their home. Now, to be clear, Sam is 100% supposed to be a difficult character. The entire point is that Amelia is worn down by his behavioral issues to the extent that she infamously eventually screams at him, "Why can't you just be normal?" But there's no denying that spending 90 minutes in the presence of a screaming kid is a major ask, no matter how well crafted the movie might otherwise be. And that's no criticism of the young actor Noah Wiseman either, who absolutely understood the assignment and made Samuel as obnoxious as director Jennifer Kent surely intended. Even so, Sam's unrelentingly challenging demeanor makes revisiting the Babadook genuinely less appealing. Number 4. Sam's parents. Transformers. Now, the Transformers movies certainly don't leave audiences wanting for irritating characters, and yet somehow worse than caricature bots, skids and mudflap is Sam's comic relief parents, and I use the term comic relief in such big air quotation marks. Ron and Judy show up periodically throughout the first 3 films to deliver some toe-curlingly awful comedy. In the first Transformers, it was Sam's mother talking about masturbation while he tried to cover up Bumblebee's presence, and in sequel Revenge of the Fallen, we had to suffer through his parents getting inadvertently stoned on pot brownies. It's all the more infuriating given that Kevin Dunn and Julie White are genuinely great actors, so for them to end up playing such agonizingly unlikable and flagrantly unnecessary side characters is hugely frustrating. At least they hopefully got some fat paychecks out of this. The Bayformers films are sadly packed to the gills with awful humour like this, but it doesn't get any worse than Sam's parents being repeatedly shoehorned into them for no good reason. Number 3. Jar Jar Binks, Star Wars Episode 1.
Really? I thought that was going to be number 1.
Number 2, Know-It-All, The Polar Express.
Okay.
Robert Zemeckis' The Polar Express struggled to deliver convincingly lifelike
The whole
CGI
Polar
human
Express?
characters, and in the case of the boy known only as Know-It-All, it didn't help that he was supremely annoying to boot. For starters, the kid just won't shut up, and most of what comes out of his mouth is both obnoxiously
Was the
snarly
name they
and delivered
missed
as a
something?
breathless, frantic
It's
ramble.
fine.
It's all made further irritating by the fact that
Did
Know-It-All is voiced by a into them for no good reason. Number 3, Jar Jar Binks, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Number 2, Know-It-All.
Oh,
The
Know-It-All,
Polar
okay,
Express.
sorry, that's his
Robert
name. I haven't
Zemeckis'
seen
The
that
Polar
movie, so I
Express
wasn't
struggled
sure
to
what
deliver
it is.
convincingly lifelike CGI human characters, and in the case of the boy known only as Know-It-All, it didn't help that he was supremely annoying to boot. For starters, the kid just won't shut up, and most of what comes out of his mouth is both obnoxiously smarmy and delivered as a breathless, frantic ramble. It's all made further irritating by the fact that Know-It-All is voiced by a middle-aged man, ensuring his nasal, grating vocal tenor off-puttingly sounds nothing like an actual child. In recent years, as audiences have rediscovered this film on streaming around the holidays, it's become something of a meme to bag on Know-It-All. But it comes from a real place of disdain, a seething desire to see him thrown off the train as soon as he starts bloody speaking. It's simply impossible to picture Zemeckis making this movie and being oblivious to just how patently annoying this character is. And while he's supposed to be to a point, if he literally makes rewatching the film less appealing, then the filmmaker definitely probably took it too far. And number 1, Annie, Dashcam. Now, this deranged found footage horror Dashcam received mixed reviews from critics, primarily due to the utterly exasperating nature of its protagonist. You see, Dashcam's hero, and again, heavy quotation marks, is Annie, a right-wing live streamer who loudly voices every idiotic opinion in her head to her fans, and by extension, to us, the viewers. She spends most of the time complaining about COVID restrictions, homeless people, masks, vaccinations, and basically anything that prevents her from doing whatever she wants. Her reckless behavior regularly exacerbates her increasingly dire predicament, predicament after giving a
Don't think
strange
I
woman
even
a lift
heard
in
about
her
that movie.
car. And even though she's undeniably put through the ringer, many viewers simply found themselves incapable of rooting for her to survive. While Annie was very clearly meant to be detestable by design, for a lot of people it resulted in their investment in the story's outcome being severely lessened. If the director's goal was to endear Annie to audiences by the end through her sheer gutsy abilities to survive, then many would view that as a failure because she is just bloody annoying. And there we go, my friends. Those were the 10 most annoying movie characters ever. I hope you
Well,
enjoyed that.
I agree with some. I don't remember others.
As always, I've been Jules.
But
and
Ruby
you can go
Rod,
follow me over on Instagram.
yeah, he's
at
annoying, but he
LuxroJ,
meant
the
to be
O is
annoying,
a 0,
so.
and you can come check out all of the Warhammer miniatures that I've been painting. Yes, I am a nerd. But before I go, I just want to say one thing. Now, sometimes in the day-to-day, we will find ourselves to be more than a little bit annoying. It's annoying to be stuck in our own head or be dealt problems that we can't overcome straight away. It is frustrating, but you know what, my friend? Treat yourself with a bit of love. Treat yourself with a bit of respect because you deserve the best things in life, all right? And there is no shame in asking for help with these problems. You are a massive ledge. You deserve the best and do not let anything or anyone else tell you otherwise, all right? Big love to you. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never
See ya,
forget
Jules.
that, and I'll speak to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, so... yeah, most of those people were annoying, and in case of Ruby Root, he did kind of pointed out that, yeah, he's supposed to be annoying. So, what you think? Was that list complete? Is there someone missing there? And thank you very much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!